Hey gamers, Rob from ZborGaming back with another weapon guide. Hey, I know this one is long overdue. The AN-94 has been out for a little while now. It's just taken me a little while to get everything put together. I've been focusing on a few things. Black Ops Cold War, the multiplayer reveal, some of that information came out. I've been working through that. Xbox Series X, tried to put my pre-order in today. Had the Xbox in the cart, went to hit checkout, and the system crashed. So, needless to say, the amount of time I spent messing around trying to get that going, I was not able to pre order my Xbox. So, I'm a little frustrated right now. Anyway, that's not the focus of the video. Let's go ahead and get into the AN-94. Alright guys, so the AN-94 was released in Season 5. It was part of the Battle Pass. It was a free weapon when you hit Tier 31. It has a max level of 68. I give it about an above average rating. It's got some good things it does, and then on the whole, I don't know, I've used it, but I haven't had great success with it. Camo requirements are standard for all the assault rifles. As far as the damage stats, there's 46 to the head, 34 to the chest, 31 to the stomach, and 29 to the limbs. Has 30 bullets, a fairly slow fire rate at 550, but it does have that hyper burst. And what that does is when you first pull the trigger, it shoots basically 2 bullets at the same time in the same location, and then it will start its normal pattern before you really feel or see any of the recoil. As far as time to kills, has some pretty fast time to kills at 109 milliseconds to the chest and the head. Reload time, your base reload with an empty mag is 2577. Partial is 164, and if you have sleight of hand with an empty mag, it's right around 2 seconds. I got some loadout suggestions on here, but we will go through these a little later in the video. And as for all the attachments and their unlock levels, they're all listed here. Now again, hey, if you guys are new to the channel, I put almost all of these infographics out on my website, ZborGaming.com. I'll have a link in the description below. So if you want to see a lot of these, head on over there. I'll have a link to the AN-94 page that you can check some of that out. So let's move on here to talk about some of the additional statistics with the AN-94. It has a couple different drop-off ranges. It first drops off at 21 meters, 31 and a half, 44, and then there's over 44 meters. Like we said, that fire rate is 550 RPMs, but with the semi-automatic, it actually goes to 1100 RPMs. Bullet velocity is 728 meters per second. Fairly quick ADS speed at 229 milliseconds. Decent movement speed, stray speed, etc. Recoil pattern, I'll go through this extensively throughout the video. It's up and then it kicks to the right. Has 30 in the mag with 60 in reserve. We got a couple specialized barrels with the AN-94. You have that factory 330, which is essentially your fast ADS speed, movement speed barrel. Will come at the expense of about 14% damage range on that bullet velocity. Doesn't really hurt your recoil a whole lot, and you'll see that when I show it out here later. The factory 438 gives you a 35% damage range boost, so it'll move that base damage range from 0 to 28 meters. A much faster bullet velocity, which would help in Warzone if you're looking to acquire targets at a distance. Does come with about a 3 frame slower ADS speed penalty though, and a 3% movement speed penalty, so keep that in mind. The AN-94 Sila barrel, that VLK Sila, gives you about a 20% range increase. ADS speed's about a frame and a half slower. So not too bad there. Again, I primarily use either one of the first two barrels depending on the playstyle I'm going for. It does have a unique stock here, this PX9 Pero, and this is actually similar to the unique stock that the CR56 AMAX has. So it gives you a much faster aim walk movement speed at about 15%. ADS speed is basically negligible. It's about a half frame faster. You won't even notice it. And it does goof up your aim stability a little bit. As far as both of the ammunition attachments, you got a 45 round mag and a 60 round casket mag. Neither of which really affect your ADS speed a whole lot. about a half frame penalty on the 45 and about a 1 frame penalty on the 60. But you do have a little bit of movement speed penalty. I highly recommend the 45 round mags though. It's definitely worth that extra 15 rounds. So let's go ahead and move on. So if we take a look at the ADS speed attachments here, I've got basically everything listed out that affects your ADS speed. Now, you don't have a whole lot of choices here when it comes to speeding up the ADS speed with the AN-94. You have this 330 barrel, the tack laser, your close quarters, and your folded stock. Those are pretty much the only attachments that will help speed up that ADS speed. Virtually every other attachment on the gun will slow it down some. In the past, some of the underbarrels used to not slow your ADS speed down as much, but they've gone through and nerfed a handful of them. And so now there are some bigger penalties there with the underbarrels. As far as your recoil control and accuracy, again, we have these listed out. All those underbarrels will help with your recoil control, aim stability, and I'll show you that a little bit later in the video here in a couple minutes. It's basically fairly standard across most of the attachments, what you're used to seeing. As far as the stocks though, there's really not a lot of stocks that are going to help with your recoil control or that aim stability. Everything except for that factory heavy pretty much hurts you. So again, all these infographics, everything you've seen so far are over on ZborGaming.com, so feel free to head over there and check that out. Here you can see the recoil pattern, kicks up for a few shots, and then it drifts on up and to the right. So what we're going to take a look at now is a damage comparison here for the base ammo and the semi-auto. Now the damage is the same depending on except it's the RPM, that fire rate in the semi-auto. Basically when you're shooting it, it shoots 2 bullets at a time, not just one. So that's part of where we get some of these different time to kill and DPS values from. You can see here that just your base ammo does have some faster time to kills, especially in hardcore and Warzone. However, to a fully armored target, you basically have this chest shots here. You do have higher DPS with the semi-automatic, but on the whole, it's up to you how you want to use the gun. Not really a whole lot of benefits either way, depending on what you choose here. So here is a quick video sort of showing you what this recoil pattern is going to look like for the AN-94. You'll see it as I shoot, it will kick and then it will basically jump up and to the right. So here I go through some of your ADS speeds so you can see how fast the ADS is. Now again, I have a VLK sight, so that's going to slow it down a tiny bit. You can see some of the idle sway. Doesn't have a whole lot, which is pretty good. And you have that up and to the right kick. Reload speed really isn't too bad. So that's what we got there. Let's go ahead and move on. So here is the recoil pattern for the base recoil, and then if you're firing in semi-automatic mode, and you can see there's a definite difference here between the two. If you're shooting as fast as you can in semi-automatic, the pattern is basically just straight vertical. The base recoil pattern, if you have it in full auto, like I said, will kick up and then it will start to drift to the right. But what you will see here in the semi-automatic is that it sort of bounces around in 2 bullet bursts. You know, you got 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, you know, and it sort of makes its way on up that way. If we go ahead and take a look at the muzzle attachments, you can see that you get a little bit of help here with the sonic brake. That basically takes away some of the chatter side to side. And then the compensator, you get that added vertical recoil. Both of these are pretty decent attachments to put on if you're looking for recoil help. If we look at the rubberized grip tape as well as the folded stock, you can see the rubberized grip tape has a little help here with some of the recoil control. This isn't too bad of an attachment, but that folded stock, you can see it definitely adds a lot more recoil to the gun, and it chatters a bit more, But on the whole, I wouldn't say it's too bad, because if you look at those first couple bullets, the profile actually looks better than the base recoil pattern. It doesn't jump as much side to side. So don't be too afraid to use it, because typically you shouldn't be holding down the trigger on full auto anyway. So I would definitely recommend taking a look at the folded stock. Looking at the different barrel attachments here, you can see the base recoil. That factory 330, again, you can see it doesn't really add a whole lot extra to the base recoil, and frankly, neither of the other two barrels. That 438, which says it's supposed to help control recoil, you can see you're not getting much of an improvement. There really is very little difference over the base recoil, and it does come with those heavy three frame ADS speed penalty and 3% movement speed penalty. So really, sometimes, I mean, if you're looking for that extra range, especially in like Warzone, I'd go ahead and put it on. But for the most part, none of the barrels are going to give you a substantial improvement when it comes to recoil control. If we take a look at the underbarrels, the base recoil pattern for this weapon is right up here about where the compass is at. So you can see that pretty much every one of the underbarrels does assist with the recoil. You got your Merc foregrip here. I sort of like this pattern. You'll see that in one or two of my loadouts. The bipod, crouched is on the left, prone is on the right here. You can see that there is some improvement there. On the whole, though, you'd probably be better off using one of the other foregrips. A couple of my favorites here would be the Merc foregrip, and I always like using the Commando foregrip for that recoil stabilization, especially when paired with the compensator. So, a couple of loadouts that I have here, and these I had on the first page as well as earlier in the weapon guide. So the first one is the recoil and accuracy build, and you can see this build cuts probably 40 to 50% of the total vertical recoil out. You get a nice vertical line. This is probably one of my favorite builds to use with the AN-94. Takes advantage of the extra damage range with the 438. I wouldn't necessarily worry about using that variable zoom scope. I have that on there. That's if you're looking to engage at a little bit farther range. But I also have that sonic brake as well as the Merc foregrip. The next is the fast ADS and mobility. You get a little bit more chatter, but really this isn't a whole lot different than the base recoil pattern, but you have that extra ADS and mobility. Balance number one. This is a fairly good loadout. It looks like it's worse, but this also has the 45 round mags. So at about 30 bullets, it's right around here. So you do have about a 20 to 30% benefit to your recoil control, which is good. And then this mid-range, I like using this with the semi-auto. It actually helps pretty well, especially it sort of takes this pattern away from kicking to the right, and it really keeps the pattern right in here. So definitely take a look at this balanced mid-range loadout if you want to run the gun in semi-auto mode. So taking a look at these in a tiny bit more detail, here is that low recoil accuracy build. And again, I have all these infographics for the loadouts on ZborGaming.com, so definitely head on over there, check that out. Loadout 2 is that stealth mobility build with the monolithic suppressor, Merc foregrip, stipple grip tape, and then that PX9 Pero stock. The balance number 1 build, I have a reflex sight on here with the compensator Commando foregrip, that 45 round mags, and then the stipple grip tape to get that extra sprint to fire speed. Lastly, I've got that balanced mid-range build, and again, this is the one I like to use when I'm using the gun in semi-auto, with a 3-point optic, the compensator Merc foregrip, the silo barrel to get a little bit extra damage range, and then that PX9 Pero stock. So guys, hey, I hope you enjoyed the guide. I know it was a long time coming, sorry for that, but again, thanks for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I'm working on a lot of stuff for Black Ops Cold War in the background, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, get that content when it starts coming out. Hit the website up. I've been working on all the various infographics. I've gone through, updated a lot of information recently. Again, As you guys know, this game is hard to keep up with. They're constantly every week making little tweaks and changes and things. But I try and do what I can. Hope you guys enjoy the content. Again, thanks for watching.